are starting from that point. If you remember, the kite had flown away from the big half moon island to the mainland. 1 month after this incident, a letter came for father. And what was father's reaction after going through the letter? Their father seemed to be on the verge of crying. And father wanted to know if Claude and Philippa knew what had become of the kite. It was written in the letter. Father sat down beside them and told them the whole story. We are starting from that point, page 43. Father had a brother and a sister. Now, for the first time, Claude and Philippa came to know that they had relations apart from father. Who was their relations? An aunt and an uncle, his father's brother and sister. Now what had happened? He had quarreled with his brother and left home. Father had fallen out with his brother. If you remember, fall out is a group verb. To fall out means to quarrel. So father had fallen out with his brother, and as a result of that, he went away from home. Left is the past form of leave. To leave means to go away from. Father had gone away from the house. Years afterward, that means many years after, time passed, many years passed, he felt sorry. Sorry means repentant, anutapta. Father was repentant that he had quarreled with his brother, and when he went back, he found his brother had died. A great tragedy awaited his father. Many years after the quarrel, when Claude and Philippa's father returned to the house, he found that the brother with whom he had quarreled had passed away. Bhai mara gechen. And he couldn't find his sister also. And Claude and Philippa's father found that his sister was missing. Naturally, because both her brothers were no more. One brother was dead, the other had gone away from the house. Naturally, she was helpless. The letter father had just received was from his sister, Aunt Esther, mother of Dick and Mimi. This letter had been written by father's sister, that means the aunt of Claude and Philippa. What was the name of father's sister, or what was the name of Claude and Philippa's aunt? Her name was Esther. Aunt Esther had written the letter. Aunt Esther had 2 children, Dick and Mimi. Dick and Mimi were the cousins of Claude and Philippa. She was a widow who lived hundreds of miles inland. Who is a widow? A widow is a woman who has lost her husband. Vidova. Esther's husband had died. And where did Esther live? Esther lived hundreds of miles inland. What is meant by the term inland? Inland means far away from the sea. Samudra theke bohu dure. That is called inland. That means they did not live on the seashore. They lived far, far away from the seashore. For example, we live inland because we live far away from the sea. In this way, the family members were separated. Claude and Philippa's father had found a job as the keeper of the lighthouse of the big half moon island. He lived on the island. His sister lived on the mainland, and she lived hundreds of miles inland. That means she lived hundreds of miles away from the sea. One day, when Dick and Mimi were out in the woods, they discovered the kite on the top of a tree and carried it home. Woods means small forest. One day, Dick and Mimi had come out of their house. They were roaming about in the small forest near their house. And what did they discover? Here, discover means to find suddenly. What did they find suddenly? They found a beautiful red kite on the top of a tree. They were attracted by the kite because the kite, as we have already said, was very beautiful to look at and was very attractive. Naturally, it caught the fancy of Dick and Mimi. To catch the fancy of, মানে to attract, আকর্ষণ করা. They were attracted by the kite and they collected it, they carried it home. When their mother saw the kite patched with the letter, she turned pale. When they brought the kite home, it was found that it was an unusual kite. The kite was mended with an old letter on either side of it. And when Esther, that means Dick and Mimi's mother, saw the letter, what was her reaction? She turned pale. What is meant by the term pale? The word pale means a whitish appearance of the skin. ফ্যাকাশে ভাব. When does a person become pale? A person may become pale owing to pathological and physiological reasons. The word pathological means owing to some diseases. If a person suffers from anemia, for example, deficiency of vitamin B12 gives rise to a kind of anemia called pernicious anemia. So if a person suffers from pernicious anemia, she or he would turn pale. There will be a whitish expression of the face. A person may get pale owing to physiological reasons. The word physiology means body. Owing to bodily reasons, a person may have a whitish expression on the face. If a person is shocked, very much astonished, if a person becomes nervous, she turns pale. Now, why did Aunt Esther turn pale? Because it was the very letter she had once written to her brother. Aunt Esther immediately recognized the letter. চিনতে পারলেন. Many years ago, she had written this letter to her long-lost brother. At that time, Claude and Philippa's father did not live on the big half-moon island. At that time, he lived somewhere else, and Aunt Esther had written to her brother. And that letter had been preserved by Claude and Philippa's father. So Aunt Esther immediately recognized the letter she had once written to her brother. How could she understand who had flown the kite? এই ঘুড়িটা কে উড়িয়েছে কি করে বুঝতে পারলেন? Because of the names written on the kite. Philippa was her mother's name and Claude was her father's. On the letter, on the kite, what was written? Philippa Liti, Claude Liti. Who were Philippa and Claude? Aunt Esther did not know that her brother had a son and a daughter. No. But she recognized the names. Claude was her father's name. Philippa was her mother's name. Only one person in the world would keep these names for his son and daughter, and that person must be her brother. So you understand why Aunt Esther turned pale. So we have read up to this point. Follow the video I will send you the answers to the questions of the previous unit, and in the next class we will finish it. Thank you.